Are you ready to perform at your highest potential? Welcome to the Performance Matters podcast from GP Strategies, your talent transformation partner. In each episode, we'll interview industry experts and explore best practices and innovative insights to help your organization improve performance.
Can you just unpack for us what is digital learning and potentially how is it even a little different or nuanced from virtual learning?
Yeah, no, great point, Michael. And definitely, over the past several years, we've heard about and seen that shift because of the global pandemic from in-person learning to that virtual world. And definitely that shift was really dramatic. I mean, you couldn't go a day without hearing about somebody going to a Zoom meeting or other platforms that are out there. But also, one of the things we observed is how quickly that had to happen. Organizations were really fearful of slowing down training or avoiding delays to, learning programs. But now that we're getting into some sense of normalcy, organizations are really taking a step back and they're thinking about how best to organize and deliver their content. And what tools, you were talking about earlier that delivery could mean tools, what tools can help maximize engagement. And this is where a lot of organizations are making now another shift, and that's into that digital learning, like you mentioned. And the
Okay.
first thing, to think about have been some of the tools. So a lot of organizations are using what are called LXPs or learning experience platforms. And I wanted to touch a little bit on LXPs because a lot of times we often hear, that as a buzzword, but we're not quite sure what that means. Or really
Right. Yeah,
how
it's
that.
like it sounds cool. What does it mean? Is it different than an LMS? Like, yeah, exactly.
Right. Exactly. And so, there are, of course, learning management systems, which have been around for quite a while and people are very familiar with, but LXPs have really, taken to the market. And one of the cool things about LXPs is not only does it allow learners to engage and consume learning, but really are able to be creators. They're able to really, involve themselves in the learning experience. And
Hmm.
LXPs really promote that social learning. Individuals can connect one another and share information real time. And this really, too, with the use of LXPs, have helped organizations to better organize their learning rather than having, multiple systems that they have to go in. It's kind of a one-stop shop. And really, the learning experience platforms, companies are, starting to design those digital learning journeys. And so today, when we're going to be talking about digital learning, we're focusing on those digital learning journeys. And what those journeys are is they're, kind of what we're referring to as semi-synchronous. And really, that's a fancy way
Okay.
of saying they're parts of the journey that are going to be independent learning, like web-based trainings, reviewing a video or reading an article. And then there's going to be learning that's happening in a group setting or synchronous learning. And that could be things like live events where they're going to maybe a virtual instructor-led training session or going to a coaching session. And really, this blend is really there to help the learners to consume the learning, but also interacting. They get to do it at a pace that's comfortable for them, as well as too, at a time that's going to be best for their schedule, versus like a classroom setting. And I wanted to also touch on some of the benefits of digital learning because this is really, what's making the shift even greater. We were talking about the virtual shift happening out of necessity, and this is happening as, because companies are really seeing the benefit of digital learning. And if you think about it, a classroom setting, it's one and done. You go to class,
Right.
you interact with the learning, and then off you go. Class is done, and back to work you go.
You're anointed, right? It's like, ta-da, you are now an expert, right?
Exactly.
One
You've got all this
one
information in
event.
your head now. Whereas really digital learning, the good thing about this is that people can actually go back in and, review the content and access the materials throughout. It's not that one and done approach. And also, one of the exciting things is that the learning and the resources continue to grow and evolve as participants are engaging and creating content or contributing to discussion threads. So learners are eager to see, what's changed, what updates and what's new out there.
The Performance Matters podcast is brought to you by GP Strategies. Together, we can create a world where business excellence makes possibilities achievable. You can subscribe to the show anywhere you get podcasts or listen on our website at gpstrategies.com.